everyone, I'm Betty and welcome to my channel. If this is the first time you're joining us, I channel messages from the archangels, the community of masters, the councils of light, the cosmic masters, and all light beings who have timely messages for us. Each month I transmit light language activation codes that help awaken and assist you on your journey. If you find these messages resonate with you, please share, like, and subscribe. All right, I'd like to start with just a quick reminder for my upcoming light language event, which will be held on June 23rd in Santa Barbara, California. This will be a loaded event. The Masters and I will be accelerating, aligning, and activating higher consciousness levels, and we always have a full event, but this one is really loaded. You're gonna need to take some time off after this, at least from what I'm seeing anyway. So joining us will be Erica Forbes Ortiz, and she will immerse us in a sound bath healing. Then I will be channeling the Masters, and our keynote speaker will Lord Melchizedek. We will also be transmitting and downloading light language codes, next level activations, and the transference of Melchizedek keys. This is a very transformative event. It presents as an opportunity for you to accelerate, empower, and enhance your gifts and receive the keys to life in the next construct. So this is a biggie. In other words, this is the keys for the next kingdom, so to speak. Live seating is limited. I would recommend registering early. Zoom will also be available if you cannot attend in person. And we'd love to see you all there and share in these amazing gifts from the Master's consciousness. So for more information about this event or my services, please visit my website, which is listed in the description box below. And thank you so much. Hope I see you there. And yeah, that's good. I think we got is there anything else? No? Okay, they're saying we're good. Okay. So this month I'm going to do things a little differently. Usually I scribe information before I speak about it. This time we're just gonna pop right in, and what the Masters wanted to speak about today is ancestral anger, which is really important. It's part of what I do with my clients. Everybody always needs to have that cleared from one distortion or another as we bring forth that from our ancestors through our DNA. So I have Master Serapis Bey today and Lord Maitreya with us. And they're saying, welcome, beloveds, and thank you for listening and watching. So I'm just going to tap in and see what they'd like to start with. Okay. Master Serapis Bey would just like to say that he has been on this earth, both physically and etherically, for a very long time. And he can say without a doubt that any race has ancestral DNA where there are distortions that have come forward. He said, unless it's a small pocket, which is very few, there might be a small pocket here and there on the earth that have not communicated with the outside world, where they just live with nature and love and community, where they don't carry forward this DNA. They don't necessarily come forward into the next age in an aspect, but they don't necessarily carry the heaviness that we all do from our ancestral linkage that we have. And he's saying anger is a biggie. Anger is really, and we see it so prevalent now with the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia, you know, in different parts of the world. Everybody has their, again, places where you did this to me, so I'm going to do this to you. Whether it's right or wrong makes no difference. This is ingrained, especially he's showing me the Middle East, where that has been going on for centuries. And even with civilizations before our known history, such as Lemuria and Atlantis, they had, even though that they were of a higher consciousness, they still had their issues too, so to speak. And as we are moving into the next octave, the next realm, you cannot take these distortions with you. What will end up happening is if you release them and let go of them, and it's not a part of you anymore, and you've learned the lesson and you've recognized that doesn't serve you anymore, you get to move up to the next octaves, or you go back to your planet of origin. For those that let's, for lack of a better word, let's say resistant or stubborn, and that will hold on to those old patterns, they will either choose to come back on another lower level planet somewhere else, where they are able to continue until they understand and get the message. So this is why it's a part of what is so important at this time. We are really doing the hard work, and many of us are also taking on roles as we're not only releasing ours, but we're releasing what is on the planet, what is on and in the planet too, that needs to be released. And Serapis is actually showing me the volcanoes. Okay, this is part of a release, and the earthquakes. And I can tell you, while I'm here in California visiting, it's pretty yucky. Every time there's an earthquake and that releases, I feel, because I am empathic, I feel it so deeply, and I feel the yuck. So it is not a very pleasant thing for me. And so that's, but this is part of these earth movements, is releasing this, that no, the earth, Gaia doesn't want anymore, has no purpose for it, so she's releasing it. It's almost like they're showing me a flea on the back of a dog, where it's just, you know, get off. We're done. We're done with this. We've moved on to higher realms and dimensions, and this no longer plays a part. So with every race, and he's showing me again the Middle East, it is so ingrained within them. It is very difficult for the older generations to release this. And even if they've moved into other countries, that's still in their DNA and links it to them. The younger generation understands, but also doesn't necessarily agree with their parents. But the way things are set up, and I'm sure you will all understand this, sometimes you just have to go with it, whether you believe in it or not. And there are many terrible things that are happening. And this, again, stems back, you know, not just a few generations. We're going back thousands of years. So this just keeps getting passed from one family member to another down the line. So our job at this time is to recognize those ancestral links, and particularly the anger, so we don't pass it on to our children, and they don't pass it on to their children. So it's the idea of, it stops now, let it stop now, so this doesn't have to continue, so you don't have to go to a lower frequency based planet to relive all this stuff again. It is time to move into the higher realms, where it's love and bliss. And you're still going to have to deal with things, but it is nothing like the third dimensional earth as far as wars and destruction. It's just a whole different construct. So he is asking, take a look at your anger, because what does anger stem from? Anger stems from hurt, loss, rejection, survival needs, poverty. Okay, thank you. A lot of times the survival will be, we'll look at that. He's actually showing me like kings. There were either kings and queens, and then there were the peasants, so to speak. Okay. So you've got that kind of thing. So the peasants are jealous of the king and queen because they have all this, and why can't I be like that? So it's a jealousy thing too. Why do they have it and I don't? It's a blaming. It can be greed, where people are greedy. Could be the king that's greedy and is not helping the people that are less unfortunate, so it's that kind of thing. Rejection. Think about your life and how, who's rejected you. Who have you rejected? Okay. So it's all these negative distortions, but the main one is anger. Where did it stem from? I can give myself as an example. I am Swedish, and so I come from the Viking ancestral linkage, and I can tell you, there is quite a temper. It takes a lot maybe to get them there, but when they're there, the temper is real, and it can put the fear of God in anybody. And my father, he did the best that he was, but what happened to him is when I looked into his life, he was abandoned, and there was struggle, and there was poverty, and that linked back even further. Loss of life, so he was just doing the best that he could in this lifetime, not realizing what he was doing because he didn't know any different. And so I had to look at that in myself when I was younger also, like, where did this anger come from? And it wasn't good. It wasn't good. And my daughter can tell you, yeah, I put the fear in her, but that's not what we want to do. We want to release that and be able to respond instead of react. But that's part of that ancestral DNA. He's also showing me, he was in Egypt as a priest and had a mystery school in Alexandria. Okay, so, he says we weren't any better at that time. There were always clashes and things going on. And he's saying it was a lot worse because, they didn't hesitate to, you're done. You're done. That's over with. There was no jury or trial. It was done and over with. So, but yes, everywhere in the world, like he's showing me, even Black Americans, unfortunately, that they were in Africa, and then we all know the story of what happened, and they were brought here to be in slavery for other people. So there's a lot of resentment in that community. There is a lot of hate. There's also a lot of fear. What will? Yeah, thank you. He's saying to me even today, and I've witnessed it myself. A man could be pulled over, and there's still that fear of, authority. What are they going to do to me? Are they going to hurt me? Are they going to lock me up? And obviously, over the last decade, you can see it's now on social media, some of the things that the police have done. So there's still that very much ingrained in them, which is very hard to shift. But this is coming to a point now where it doesn't matter what race you're from, bringing up Native Americans, look what happened to them. So you've got all of this going on, and now is that time to release it. And that can be a very hard thing. Sometimes it's conscious, sometimes it's unconscious. Like, I don't know why I'm angry. I don't know where this comes from. But it's those patterns. And not only do, yes, thank you. It will also, he's saying, that it will show up in patterns of health issues. So let's say, okay, all right, he's guiding me to the teeth, okay? You can have terrible teeth even though you're brushing and taking care of it, but each tooth represents a different negative reaction, okay? So again, such as abandonment, rejection, so you can have a cavity in that area, or you can have an illness. Cancer is very prevalent usually for women in the breast area, or the uterus area, where the mother has not been present for the child in one way, shape, or form, whether it be emotionally, physically, and therefore the child feels lack, and then that turns up as a cancer in those areas. There's hundreds of different physical ailments, but this also stems back to that DNA. What did your mother and father learn from their parents, and what did their parents learn for them, and so on and so on. So this is a very important thing, and I also see this a lot with clients, where something will show up that hasn't been healed and hasn't been rectified, and will show up as an illness. Yes, and the other thing is it can also show up, and I've also seen this, it can show up as entities showing up and attaching to you. So in other words, if you've got all this anger and hatred and all the other negative distortions within your body, it's almost like a green light for entities. It doesn't matter where you are. You don't have to be doing any ritual or anything to bring them to you. You can be going out to lunch and something could attach and come home with you. But what it is, they recognize the fear, the anger, and that is food for them. So they're going, well, there's a meal. I'll just go home with that person. So it can attract entities of all different types that actually feed on your aura of fear, okay? So that's another thing. So there's a lot of things that, now it's a time to leave these things behind. Yes, and he's also saying the need is very prevalent to wanting to make things right. Well, that person did that, so now I need to do this to make it right. And it just doesn't work that way anymore, okay? And the best thing that you can do is to recognize that that person hurt you and you're feeling angry about it. And so what you want to do is forgive them for hurting you in any way, shape, or form. Now, obviously, I'm not talking about physical. Of course, we're talking about more the emotional and mental. Obviously, you do what you need to do, but we're specifying the more emotional aspect of it, where, thank you, that somebody hurts you, you need to look at them in the higher perspective. So in other words, don't look at the personality that's in front of you. Know that they're a light being from another planet, another space, and they're just here playing the game like we are. We're just a character, and we've come to learn different lessons, and this is what we're doing. So look at them as a light being and forgive them and bless them and send them love and light. And then you can do the same for yourself. You can send yourself love and light and say, I forgive myself too for taking this personally, when that person might have been upset about something else and took it out on you. There's many variations, but they're saying that's what it's all about: forgiveness of others and forgiveness of self. So what that does is it frees you from the negative distortions. So nothing new can begin, and something old cannot be added to. So it works in both ways. Okay, let me just see if they have anything else to say about this at this time. Okay. They're showing me different aspects. Okay, yeah, all right. So what they also want to point out too is, oh, I'm sorry. I thought my camera was going off. What they also want to point out too is you also have parallel lives. So, and so many possibilities. So in one life, you can be in poverty. In the next life, you can be, what's that word? Middle class. And in another life, you can be wealthy beyond belief. You can have children, you cannot have children. So you have all these parallel lives. Those also come into play with the DNA. So if you have a great experience in one life, wonderful. But then you might have 5 more that aren't so great. And again, that is imprinted in your DNA, and then that moves you forward. So that's another thing to realize. Oh, thank you. Okay. All right. So what he's trying to get at is there's layers. And that's absolutely true. Because you can clear one layer and then another layer might surface. And he's saying, don't be discouraged by that, because that's part of the process. Taking it like an onion, you're taking a layer off at a time, because it can't possibly be done all at once. And it also depends on how much you carry within you. So just keep that in mind. So there's lots of variations and situations to your ancestral anger. You can do this yourself, but if you are in need of help with it, or you're not understanding what it is, obviously, we can help with that. And that's what we do, is we release that and put you on a different timeline and dissolve all of that. Okay, let me just see if there's anything else he wants to before we wrap up. He's just thanking everyone. Again, it seems to be the theme of, we're the brave ones. We're the brave ones that are coming here to do all the work, the hard work. And he's saying, you'll be getting the praise, because not everybody got a ticket here. Not everybody got a ticket to come here. And we all know that this is not easy. We're just finding our way back home to Source, God, Creator, and this is part of it. But he's thanking us all for being here, and whether you realize you're doing the work or not, this is why you're here. This is why you're here. Okay. I just want to see. Okay, so this month's transmission, he wants me to do for forgiveness of self and others, which perfectly ties into what they were talking about. Okay, all right. And he's also saying, if there's any questions that you have, please ask, because that's what they're here for. Okay. All right, so let's do the light language transmission. Make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, and you can come back to this as often as needed, because each time you listen to the light language, you receive a different unit of consciousness. So, as often as you need it. Nahuria naya sayatu ura ayaka ane Orma aanea suutanaya. Akarenia suiri turiana tayakurana. Yanana saurna asiamia amarutayanea. Okora anunaya asui piti. Nanea kurma aaye neo suishta. Nenea kuya maanea kurama. Sute anea. Akarania suishti akurmpa. Suyenea ku aratia sunyanea piakunaya. Atayanea suyatunana. Ya kurania suya sebian miatuya duyane. Akuramaya nea tuyishtenea ukara. Areanea suyininya akareya kupa asu. Oturia aneaka. Areana suyusani orania tuan on diepa oku orama a. Nananayana yako yesiti antoyena. Abu aram mana a ikia otusu utianea atalai mia tuyesanaya. Okurama ne. Nea koya nea suyini. Desmia kuriniana yasinia de ninia tuja. E soyini mia tu suishta aorama aku usu. Nene wa or amaye. De a ushana. Boku aranayana. I think ora na suishti. Nyana tu ira help ni forane suishta. Na aye nea kurama aye na nea su sea te anea ku. Nara aye. Gaya suna. Ibi beata. Biatuna yata. Osuyana. Thank you so much, everyone. Okay. Yes. So come back as often as you need it. And I am wishing you a beautiful month and sending you so much love and many blessings. And I will see you next month. Have a happy June. Okay? Take care.